today we have a presenter, Gražvydas Šedys, and Gražvydas has extensive experience with Agile. And yeah, he started with his own startup and used Agile as a way to run the business. And now he continues owning his consulting company, training and lecturing how to adopt Agile. And Gražvydas says that companies or teams wanting to adopt Agile may be focusing on methodology instead of thinking how to apply Agile and reach the goals, as Agile itself is not a goal. So instead of implementing full Agile and have all the Scrum ceremonies in place, it is much more worthwhile to focus on the key pain points and apply most suitable tools. So is that correct, Gražvydas?
That is correct. And now you're spoiling my presentation, but yes, that's,
sorry.
That's what we're going to talk about.
All right, so the stage is yours. I'm muting myself.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Robertas, for the introduction. I will briefly introduce myself in a second, but as Frederick left us with some Menti, so I will sort of take the torch and continue with the same tool. Before we start, I just want to get some answers from you, sort of to see what do we think here in the room today. So I hope you will be able to share my screen soon. Can you see the Menti board? Yes, so if you are, go ahead, join menti.com and use the code which you see at the top of the screen. I'm interesting to hear on, first of all, how much of sort of Agile usage we have in the room. So how much do you use Agile, basically? Do you think you're a completely Agile company? Do you run this for some time already, or you just started, or maybe you are just having some plans to do it? Maybe you don't even know what Agile is. So let's get clear with that as well. So please, if you can just go ahead and tell me whom do we have in the room. I see the majority of the people are using Agile practices for quite some time. There are someone who planned to use it. And as always, we have the ones who just started or trying to figure out what Agile is. I see that no one's stating that you're already Agile. Oh, here we have one. Great. Yes, so more or less we see the picture. The majority of you have been using Agile for quite some time, but I see others as well here, because Deconstructed Agile, as we're going in a minute, is actually very worthwhile thinking of if you're just starting up or thinking of starting your Agile journey. I believe that's where it has the most value, but we'll try to see how much we can benefit all from it. So next question, very briefly, then the ones who are using it, right? Why you decided you want to go in the Agile journey? Why do you want to use it? So you just want to be Agile. You want to increase the agility of your company. Maybe you have some other goals, as improving communication, increase efficiency, increase time to market or quality, maybe something else that's not mentioned here, or maybe you're again trying to figure it out. What is that, right? I see someone stating that you want to increase agility. A lot of you doing that for efficiency. That's great. Time to market and quality, yes. That's also, but I see the efficiency is the dominating factor. So hopefully you're succeeding with it, or you hope to succeed with it, probably, if you're just starting your journey. Okay, let's go ahead with the next question on, we went with how much you're using it, why you're using it. Now, how do you use Agile? So do you have, some standard procedures as it's written in the Scrum Guide or any other book, or you sort of modified the main known practices to yourself somehow, or you think you sort of created a bicycle on yourself, and you created something on your own, or you're just, being a bit there and there with trying out bits and pieces of Agile in different places. And I see a lot of you is somehow trying probably to do more or less the standard things, but modifying it to match your company or your reality. Okay, that's what I've expected, actually. That's more or less the picture I've expected to see. I see there are some people trying stuff there and there. Now I'm glad to see that we don't have those people of trying to figure out what Agile is anymore. So we don't have any of those. That's great. And actually, the last question before I go into sort of a introducing the concept that I've came up with myself, it's basically if you just ask yourself this question, or the dilemma here to choose from. So how do you think, do you need to adopt Agile for yourself, or you need to adopt yourself to Agile to match the main practices to be able to take the most of it? And so do you need to change, or you need to change Agile to make sure it fits you? And I see a lot of people are much more likely to change Agile instead of changing ourselves. That's probably a regular thing. That's humane. But there are some who thinks that, first of all, we need to change ourselves, right? Okay. Great to see, because actually what I've been doing today with the concept that I will be presenting to you, the Deconstructed Agile, is it's actually some ways of changing Agile to yourself. In other ways, trying to see what kind of bits and pieces you could take from the Agile and use it to make sure you have a success with it. But why I started with all of these questions and actually tortured you here for a first 10 minutes or so is that basically those are the first questions I ask to my clients. And I work in a company called MobilePay most of my time now. I also help some other companies and do some trainings on my as an additional activity. So if any of you want to meet and talk, you can always find me on LinkedIn. But whenever I get, to a new company, whenever I meet a new client, I ask those questions, right? So why you want to do Agile? What do you think Agile is? Because to be frank, I often get answers that, basically the goal of us doing Agile is for us to be Agile. But Agile is not a goal itself, right? Agile helps you to achieve your goal. In a way, it's a tool that you can use to make sure you achieve your goals, some sort of solve your problems, solve your challenges, get yourselves further, one step further. So this is why we need to start asking our questions from why we want to do it from the beginning, why we want to try and, try hard to maybe, transform our business or become this Agile, because it shouldn't be a goal to you to be Agile. It should be, Agile should be a tool of achieving some sort of goals and or challenges. And there are different ways where companies try to unravel this, this black box and to try to untangle this hairy thing Agile is. So some, of course, are born this way. If you think about new companies, startups, some companies that are already running in maybe, the regular or classic way of working, do some large-scale transformations or trying to transform teams, team by team, department by department, sort of going step by step in this. So basically, I'm suggesting one more way of trying to adopt Agile, and it's sort of a deconstructing Agile and using bits and pieces to make and solve specific challenges or specific problems you face in your companies. in other ways, I propose, while I've been working with Agile for quite some years now, I see that a lot of times we want to stick the classic practices to the clients, to the companies, and then we get a lot of pushbacks that we don't want to change, and we end up modifying, as a lot of you mentioned in the questionnaire. We end up modifying the regular Scrum, regular Kanban. So I'm just saying why we shouldn't just take Agile and implement it in Agile way, sort of run it with iterations. So I tried to deconstruct Agile to different bits and pieces and propose those different bits and pieces, basically put them on the table and say, okay, what are your challenges? And if you want to solve this challenge, this is the tool to use. If you want to solve this problem, this is what you should try to pick up in the beginning. So it's just using those bits and pieces, those different parts to solve different challenges that you have. And it's not stating clearly or loudly anywhere in the conference as this one that, now we're Agile, we want to become fully Agile. Now we have a practice, now we're an Agile company. Probably you won't be. But the thing is that, is this your goal? If it's only, the challenges that you need to solve, maybe it's enough to use one or the other practice, and that's good enough to actually, be Agile to that extent, or not even be Agile, but use those tools. So you can take them and introduce them one by one, piece by piece, and iterate, see what works, change, take something new, and so on, as you would do in a regular, development process that Agile itself proposes to do. So let's be Agile in implementing Agile. That's basically a key message that I'm trying to spread right now. And in no way I'm killing the classic methods, Scrum, or anything that's saying those are not a good methods. If it fits your company, if it fits your business, if it fits your team, that's of course an easiest way to do it. Take a book and do it by the book. But if you're in doubt of where you want to be, or what you want to use, then you can try and see figure out from those different bits and pieces. So it is basically I put everything into 10 components. I'm still working on it, and hopefully those 10 components will become more in time. But from the given point of time, I have 10 components, sort of organized in 3 blocks, which is the basic techniques, some change in the ways of working, and of course the hardest things probably and the longest to implement is some change in culture or mindset. So this is how I deconstruct this Agile myself. And whom is it for? So as I mentioned, and that's why I asked this question in the beginning, especially if you're thinking of starting your Agile journey or restarting your Agile journey, maybe something doesn't work for you as good as you were expecting from the things that you use already. Especially I use it with the clients, with the teams that are not Agile, not IT related in any way. So it's easiest then to go bit by bit, step by step, and see how we can make the most of an Agile in that specific team. So I'm not saying it's not going to work to anyone else, but I'm saying probably these, sort of groups of people or teams or organizations will benefit the most at a given time on how I see the deconstructed Agile being. So let me start maybe now. I did a lot of intro for 15 minutes. Let me start with just introducing those things to you and see, where you can try one or another thing. I'm just gonna go on the surface today, clearly because of the lack of time and this being much deep thing if you sort of get into it. But let's start with those techniques in the first round. So there are 4 techniques that you can simply try out and you start using pretty soon. And the first one being just doing frequent check-ins. Scrum call it daily Scrum, other methodologies call it stand-ups. So I don't actually care. Someone calls it morning board meetings. I don't care how you call it. But the component itself says that, if you have challenges like you're doing too much reporting, you feel that a team spends too much time on reporting, sending something and going to reporting meetings. Maybe you spend too much time in aligning with someone. You need to, be everywhere. If it's hard for someone to track the progress of the team by being just somewhere around, and those teams, faces roadblocks, which is addressed too slow, just start doing frequent check-ins, frequent team check-ins, easy as that. Basically, it's a short meeting. I advise to keep it short, as a regular stand-up is. Adjust the frequency, whether you need to do it once a day, twice a week, or whatever. Find the best way that suits you. And even do it multi-levels, sort of. It's not only for the teams. So maybe, teams needs to do the stand-ups. And I have a client I'm working with, and it's basically, it's not an IT company, but it has a department of sales and it has a department of sort of a delivery. And what we're doing now is trying to put them together. And we're saying that sales need to have the stand-ups and the meetings beforehand. Then the account managers goes to the teams and sort of gives update there. So it could be done in multi-levels, as it's done in some of the lean companies, lean adopting teams. So basically, it's just figuring out where you can use those frequent check-ins to solve maybe these challenges that you can see in the top. So just start doing frequent check-ins, and there are a lot of things, a lot of good things that could come out of it. If you're not doing anything else, at least these challenges can be addressed in a way. Maybe not fully, but in a way it could be solved. Now, the second thing is continuous improvement culture and continuous improvement cycle or rhythm. And probably also know that the ones who are using Scrum knows about retrospectives. The ones who are more doing lean knows about Kaizen meetings or Kaizen sessions. Again, I don't care how you call it, but if you have challenges that you feel that your productivity of the team stands still, you need to do something to improve it. If you feel that there are tensions in the team, someone is getting annoyed by someone else and you need to solve it out, and maybe you have some challenges or problems that are coming back to bite your backs basically over and over again, and you only have standard solutions to them, we need to do some kind of continuous improvement cycles, right? So start doing retrospectives, start doing Kaizen sessions. Depending on your team, how you're doing it, it basically will be a way to solve it. And the biggest idea is, as Jeff Watts said, that you should be trying to be great instead of being good, and that's the whole idea with continuous improvement cycles. And my tips are, it just needs to be regular. And I've been working with one company once, and we've been trying out, also trying some continuous improvement work, and it was actually a manufacturing related company, not anything related with IT. So we've been doing sort of ad hoc improvement meetings, and we noticed that we only agree to do the ad hoc improvement meetings when it's really, really problematic, and when something's really burning, basically. But when we started to do it regularly in a regular cadence, we basically managed to prevent a lot of those things happening. So my advice, just create a regular rhythm for continuous improvement, for retrospectives, or anything you want to call it. Look at everything there, not only basically how to do this agile, how to do the process. Also think about the tools you use, the teamwork you're at. Talk with people, give them a chance to vent out all of the things they want to tell you. So this is basically the idea behind it. And it's not only about talking out, it's actually making it actionable. A lot of times I face that there are companies that or teams that are doing retrospectives, let's say, just to do it. You need to understand to do it, to create actions and then act on them. So this is what basically I would suggest to make sure you have clear actions after each session, and who's going to do what in order for us to become great and not just stand being good. So this is the second component. You can use it alone. You can use it together with the stand-ups, bundle in whatever ways you like. But if you want to have some sort of a movement forward, probably you need to come up and do some sort of a continuous improvement activities. So that's a second component. The third component is actually also probably very well known by everyone who's running Agile right now and having boards, Scrum boards, Kanban boards, whatever you will call it. But basically the idea here is to visualize your work, to make sure you have a work that's transparent and seen by yourself first of all, and then by anyone else who might be interested in your work. So if it's hard to understand the process for the team and for maybe some stakeholders that needs to understand where the team is, or for you as maybe managers, if you are a leader, if information you need to get is spread all the way, around, and you're not sure about your priorities, and you don't see how all of the work that different people do fits together in one picture, start just doing some visualization of your work. I know that currently it's harder to do it physically with the physical boards, but come up with the online some sort of a visualization. Will it be a Kanban board? Will it be any kind of way, any kind of tool you will choose? But make sure it's open for all. I encourage transparency with this a lot. So it's not only for your team, unless you're working on a top secret government project that no one else needs to and can know about. Make it open, make sure that everyone can join it and see it. Make sure you work with it constantly updating. I know that sometimes it's hard to implement the culture that, whenever something changes, I need to also update our board or whatever, we'll be using it to visualize our work. But make sure you do it constantly, not only once a day, twice a day, or twice a week, whenever we meet maybe at some point. So make sure you're constantly trying to update it so that whenever it's like a speedometer on the car, whenever I just see it, I need to know, how fast is my car going. So this is the goal to have with your visualization of your work. And it's not even need to be boards. It could be a simple workflow. It could be, somewhere you place all of the work that you do. It's any way of sort of a signalizing of where are you with the work that you're doing. So this is basically a third component that, again, works well together with the stand-ups, but it can be just executed alone if you only have these things here, right? So that could be the simple tool to take and use. So third from the techniques part, and third from the most basic ones. So the fourth being also maybe harder to implement, but I think it's a technique, and it's pretty basic thing to actually do, is to build fully capable teams. It's also known as cross-functional teams. Someone maybe uses this term, but basically it's just trying to put everyone who can contribute to doing the work in one team, in the one squad. And I often get questions from some companies or anyone who I'm doing training sometimes and saying that, try to have fully capable teams, especially if you're working Scrum related techniques and so on, that, it's hard, it's in organizational structures and so on. But I always advise that, within the team or within two teams, if you have a team of, developers, a team of analysts, a team of testers, there is always a way for, to get together for those three teams and say, okay, let's reorganize our work to be in a fully capable teams, squads, or whatever you will call it. And it's pretty easy to do. You don't need to change an org chart. The reporting line stays the same, but you just agree that, for now we work in these delivery teams, in these fully capable teams. So we organize ourselves here, and it will help solve challenges like, making sure we're having a faster response time towards the client. We have less handoffs and sort of a more streamlined process. We have more collaboration and engagement. And then it's basically stating that, how everything comes together. Sort of, if you have those challenges, you try just building up and trying cross-functional teams or fully capable teams. Also working with one of the with the clients I've mentioned before. It's basically also, as I said, there are sales parts and there are delivery team. And for quite some time there was a situation that basically sales are responsible for sales, and then there are delivery team that needs to execute on it, and it's completely unrelated with IT. Company works in an HR field, so. What we're trying to do now, it's basically saying that why would not organize, a team of those delivery people around the account managers, so they don't need to have all this long line of communication where it comes to the team lead, and the team lead tells what the account manager tells to the team lead what are the priorities. Team lead goes to the team, and then they're telling how what are the priorities where we'll be working on distributing this work. And it only sort of not only gave us this sort of a streamlined work and less communication loops, but in the same time, it gave us more freedom for team leads to focus more on the people development instead of being project managers. So in this way, you can basically, sort of even shift the focus on some key people in the organization and the team. Now, how to do it? I recommend do it small teams, as you know, the regular Scrum would state. So small teams up to 5 to 7 people with clearly defined responsibilities and sort of boundaries of where our responsibility starts and ends. And you can build them wherever. It's not only in IT field, as I just mentioned. It can be getting together some marketing people, sales people, and some delivery people, getting together support and development and analysis departments, or whatever it could be. So you could try to think of how you can build those wherever. Just make sure it's aligned and make sure we have those responsibilities clearly defined after we're trying this way. And again, it doesn't need to be a company-wide transformation to go into this way of working. You can just, agree with a couple of teams and just start doing it without having official organizational changes. Just organize yourself in the smaller groups and just go ahead for a couple of iterations to try on how this works basically for you. If it doesn't, okay, there are other tools here that I will present that could maybe help in solving similar problems. So this is the fourth element that could be used. So basically, these are the 4 techniques that are easiest to change, because others are more ways of working and the mindset things that maybe take some more time to do it. And usually when I work with companies, they say start with basics and then let's go to another ones. But again, it's not a rule. You can go straight to changing the ways of working if you wish. And one of the ways of working, it's probably, again, not a rocket science, not something completely new for the ones who work in Scrum, or for the Agile people, as probably a lot of us are here, is just making sure we do the value delivery in iterative manner, right? So we do sprints. Maybe we don't do sprints. Maybe we just agree on some loops of time that we want to go on and then test something afterwards, right? So it's not necessarily needs to be Scrum and sprint. You can ditch sprints, in my opinion. It's not working well with a lot of teams. It's really good, working really good with development teams, but others might face issues with it. So if you have problems, delivering what client needs, if it's hard for you to focus on the actual outcome instead of delivering an output of what the client actually wants to solve to himself or a stakeholder they're working with, if you think you spend too much time planning instead of spending this time on actual hands-on work, and if you have a lot of unknowns, but the team needs to commit on something in the beginning, then iterative value delivery or any kind of loops should be helping you to solve those challenges. And the only things to ensure is that you get frequent feedback, whether it's from clients, from the stakeholders, from the team, from other teams, doesn't matter whom you're working with. But make sure you get some sort of a rhythm where you get frequent feedback. It couldn't be not necessarily, sprint ends or something like that if you're not doing sprints. Just agree that time to time you will show something to where are you to your key stakeholders, and you get feedback from them. Don't go to the way of giving a perfect product. Build MVPs, experiments, pilots. So anything that could help you with the just testing out the ideas or testing out the product you would like to launch. And last to tell is that as short as those loops could be, that's better. But it's up to you to choose what kind of length of these loops need to be in your case and in your companies. So again, you can start doing it, and not necessarily, you need to do iterations by doing perfect Scrum. You just need to agree that, okay, instead of, doing a huge planning, we do short iterations, and this is how we try to work. Again, works a lot better with the fully capable teams. However, this could even be tried out with some very classical structured teams as well. So if you just focus on the value, focus on the outcome, and just trying to give those bits and pieces to the clients or stakeholders, that's when probably we can try to get something out of it. So iterative value delivery, that's a first. Another very important thing of ways of working, it's having common vision and common goals. Now, those this is not just probably much easier to say, but in my experience, for example, I came to the company I work now in MobilePay. I found a really well agile structured company. They were working cross-functionally. They were doing really good shape of Scrum, sort of having iterations, having all the necessary events and meetings within the teams and the tribes and other parts of the structures. So when I started to look deeper, I found that, there were other challenges, things like people, feeling a bit of a being a feature factory. In other words, being given a task, executing on it, given another task, executing on it, and basically just baking features one after another. So if you have that challenge, maybe in your teams, if you have some lack of focus to innovation, if you have maybe even low engagement from the employees, that could be an indicator that some common vision or goals are missing. And there is no clear focus of what you need to do. Maybe there are too many priorities. That's when we need to think of whether we need to change our way of setting goals, setting visions, setting objectives, whatever you will call it. And Jeff Bezos said, we need to be fixed on that. It's the thing that we need to go to at least for 3 months or so. That's what we're trying out right now ourselves, having 3 months OKRs. But the journey inside it, of course, could be very different. So tips here being that it's not only then should be top-down approach of giving visions or goals, include everyone in forming them. That's why I really like the OKR methodology, for example. That's why I've put it here. I think it sort of includes the whole company and making sure we align our priorities from the top to the bottom and everyone's ideas are heard. We do this alignment in a very different levels, so make sure you do it as well. It's not only to agree at the top level where is our vision. It's important that this vision is understandable and everyone buys into it. In the teams, in the lowest levels, if I can call it like that, and make sure we revisit it frequently. It's not something that we create a 5-year plan, 5-year goal, and then we go do it. If you create, it doesn't matter, 3-month cycles, 6-month cycles, yearly cycles, it's still important to get back to it and revisit it very frequently. In MobilePay now we're trying to revisit our objectives each week. So at least once a week, we need to see the bigger picture and seeing, okay, not only, what are we doing, why are we doing, how we are contributing to the better good, how we are contributing to changing the world by giving the best product to our clients, how we're changing our client life by doing the specific things that we're doing today. So we're moving away from being a feature factory to being, problem solvers and basically not only, executing on tasks, but thinking of how to execute on them. And it also gives a lot of focus to innovation as well. So sort of it gives us areas to see where can we even improve. So this is the 6th element. And the last element that I want to present today, because I don't want to go into the mindset and culture part. I believe that's something that it's even harder to get into, but I'm welcome to discuss that with you afterwards. It's making sure that the way you're working, it's always being close to your stakeholders, whether it will be your clients, whether it will be your, I don't know, any other kind of, other teams, managers, other departments, depending on the size of your company you're working at. But if you're getting this low, client satisfaction or low engagement from the stakeholders, if you find it hard to understand what we actually need to do, if you have basically low engagement from the clients to the company, they only want to give you want to give them a product and they will tell you it's okay. So it's basically not engaging them in the development or sort of creation process you have. And if you feel that sometimes the plan that we initially agree with the client misleads us and you get stuck somewhere just because our client expected some different things from us, maybe it's just trying out this way of working, of staying very close to your clients, very close to your stakeholders. How you can do it? Make this glass wall between yourselves and the client by letting customers, clients, stakeholders see your work It could very well work together with the visualization of work. If you just put somewhere all the work you do and just give an access to the clients there and say, okay, this is the things we do, without letting them interfere at any basically point they like, not to ruin the work of the team at any point, but seeing it and making sure to be acquainted with what's going on. That's what we want to try to achieve. And it's very important to have frequent check-ins with the clients, especially with the teams. I always advise that clients needs to get close to the teams, and not only close to some sort of a salespeople or product owners, product managers, and whoever you work, the ones who get the contact with the clients. They need to be close to the teams. They need to have the relationships with the people, because people might need to ask some questions when they're delivering something. They want to clarify something, and we don't want to have those loops where there's always someone who's in between. We want maybe to ask that directly. So client needs to understand how we work, and that he might expect questions, and he need to co-create with us in order to get the best product possible. So if we can establish this relationship, if you can establish this way of working, that's something that you could very quickly turn into a valuable input to the team and solve maybe those challenges you see here upwards. So this is basically how the deconstructed Agile works. And talking about the last three parts that I will not go into the detail. So those are, first of all, simplicity. So making sure that everything you do, you try it out in a simple manner, try out the Pareto rule. So this is a mindset thing. It's sometimes we just want to be perfect. I know that is a case. We don't want to lose our face in front of our clients, in front of our, some managers. Maybe if you work in a large company, you want to deliver a perfect product. My proposal is to have basically a mindset and a culture where it's okay to deliver, good enough products. Because the simplicity in the Pareto rule says that probably 20% of your work rate, 80% of the effect, right? So it's much better than to spend a lot of those 20% to deliver 5 products that are really good enough, instead of spending 100% of your time to create 1 product. So maybe that would lead then to iterations and these things to sort of work on these products, but that's a simplicity. So make sure you try to adopt simplicity in whatever way you're basically working. Another thing is communities and communality. So making sure you're basically trying out to get together, build some sort of groups in the company, in the teams that are driven by some common purpose and wants to do an extracurricular activities, because that could improve your processes in any ways, in a lot of different ways. So basically, getting together and having communities, that's another sort of a mindset thing and a common understanding that we are here not to only deliver what we need, but we're here to make sure our company is getting better at the same time. So this is basically the idea of deconstructed Agile that I have. It's not sort of a saying that it fits best to everyone, but it's saying it's an alternative. Maybe if you try it out, or if you're planning to try an Agile, and if you're afraid to do very large scale, huge transformation, and if you're afraid that the textbook examples won't fit you the best way, so try to iterate when you adopt Agile, and adopt thing one by one by one. You can implement a couple of them in a couple of months. You can try to implement some more of them, and that basically is how it comes back to actually being Agile, not being Agile, but bringing you to the state where you solve the most challenges and problems that you face. So this is the overarching idea that I invite you to think of and follow. It's something that I created myself, and I'm not sure whether how others think about. So I appreciate feedback about it. But I was I'm glad that I can share this with you. So if there are any questions, maybe Robertas, we can take them for the last couple of minutes we have here. So.
All right, thanks, Gražvydas. You are perfectly on time, and I do not see any questions. So yeah, let's. Ask now participants, please post some. And meanwhile, I have one question from myself, if I may. So you most probably faced the situation when the people were, regarding retrospective, people were saying, okay, we are too busy to make any improvements. So what would you advise to do in this case?
Yeah, basically, I then, I'm starting always with the question. So, but do you think you have challenges in the team with your productivity, with your teamwork, with your ways of working, with your processes? Do you have that or not? If the team says no, then maybe, okay, let's not bother, doing retrospectives. If you think you're doing a perfect, you're a perfect team, you have nowhere to improve, maybe then let's not use this element. That's sort of, I'm always open to that degree. And if you think you're not a perfect team, then we need to improve. Then how do we improve? We do, retrospectives, Kaizen sessions, whatever. You think it's too often to do it every week? Let's do it once, twice, once bi-weekly manner, monthly manner, doesn't matter. Just let's find our rhythm to making sure we're moving forward. But if you think that you're a perfect team, then I will not, spend time persuading the team saying that you need to do retrospectives. I will just take this element out and say, okay, so where are our biggest challenges right now that we need others to solve? So what kind of other components I need to use? And if I see it ends up, again, being the same problems, then I just bring those problems and say, look, team, you still have those problems. You're still standing still. You're still not improving. You're still, having tensions in the teams. Why don't we use the retrospectives? And sometimes that helps basically them to follow in that.